This Hobbit's probably about £30,000. So this is just rare in itself, even though it's only a little bit. Love the cover. I bought that for the cover.
Uma edição búlgara.
And look, I just love Bilbo on his horse. He doesn't really look like that in the book at all. And there's Bilbo. And Tolkien hated this translation.
The Hobbit.
Show you our Tolkien signature. I'll show you something that is probably one of the highlights of my collection. Mm-hmm. We were keeping these secret until recently we had these, but certain people have actually already said they've got them, so I'm fairly happy now to announce these.
Hello, I'm Gilson Singh, Tolkien Talk's correspondent here in the UK. You might remember my chat with one of the biggest Tolkien collectors in the world, Andrew Trotter Ferguson. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. Today I'm going to show you the most precious books in his collection. Seriously, there are lots of things I had never seen before. But first, a few comments and announcements for you. Are you subscribed to the Tolkien Talk channel? Do you follow us on social media? Have you liked this video to support our project? If you haven't done so yet, please do. It helps a lot. And don't forget to subscribe to the TolkienGuide's channel, the biggest reference in everything related to Tolkien, with Trotter being one of the key contributors himself. I also have a project for personalized itineraries and photo shoots around the UK, so if you or someone you know is planning a trip here, follow me on my social media channels, Gilson Singh, and let's chat. Your trip can become even more special, including visits to places where Professor Tolkien himself has been. Now, let's explore this amazing Tolkien collection together.
Unfortunately, this one has a basic bit, so it's not quite as easy to do. And what I've actually got is all the different UK editions of The Hobbit since it first came out. And it first came out in 1937. That's the first Hobbit that I ever bought.
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
Can I see it?
You can, yes.
O primeiro que ele comprou.
The very first Hobbit that ever came out was this one. Now this is a facsimile cover because I don't have it with an original cover, but I do have a bit of the original cover. And on the back, you can see that. This is from the original cover. And one thing that's quite famous about the first printing is that they compared Tolkien to Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
But Lewis Carroll's real name was Charles Dodgson. And when they put his name in, as you can see there, they spelt it wrong.
Oh.
So someone had to go and cross out by hand 1,500 copies of this. They must have been fed up with this dust jacket, and they actually crossed out the E in Dodgson. In the later printing, they corrected the spelling. But this is very famous, and the fact that the only bit of the dust jacket I actually have is this bit is really nice because that's the bit where they've hand corrected it.
And you have it because how many people do you think have this edition?
Well, there's
with this bit.
There's 1,500 copies of this were made, and I think there's probably 300 or 400 still in existence, and there's probably about 50 with really nice dust jackets. So to actually have any part of the dust jacket at all from the original Hobbit is hugely rare. So this is just rare in itself, even though it's only a little bit. What happened in a few years ago was that HarperCollins decided to make a facsimile edition of this, and the facsimile edition is this. There it is. It's exactly the same. They've done a very good job on the facsimile. even to putting the stain on the top. So it was green originally, and this one, can you see, it was green.
But
it's faded, yes, it's faded over time. This Hobbit's probably about £30,000. One of the things that I wanted to do with the Hobbit was to get all the different printings of the Hobbit. And what I mean by that... You do
have like lots of it.
Yeah, so what I mean by that is that when a book comes out, most books only ever get one printing because no one buys them again. But this one, when it came out in 1937, it sold out straight away because it's only 1,500 copies. And they produced a second printing, which came out 3 months later. This one came out in September and this one came out in December. This is the second printing of The Hobbit from 1937. I have a bit more of the dust jacket on this one. So I've actually got, including both of the flaps this time. So you can see there's still bits missing on this one. And this one, the way you can tell the difference, obviously, is it now says second impression, 1920, and the first one just says first. But it's also in colour. This was the first one that was in colour. And this is, and there's some great colour illustrations in here. And what they did, so what Tolkien did when these were put in, was he wanted to tell them where to put them in the book. So let's see if I can find one of the colour illustrations. This one.
This one has in the printing in Oxford lots of products.
Yes, lots of products. So you can see that Tolkien called this one Bilbo Comes to the Huts of the Raft Elves. But when he sent them the illustrations, he wrote down underneath which page it should be printed opposite. So it should be
very detail oriented.
Yes,
right?
and it should be printed opposite the page that says the dark river opened suddenly wide. And if you look on here, it will say that on here somewhere. It will say the dark river opened suddenly wide. But that's not the name of the picture. So they weren't meant to put the name of the picture is Bilbo Comes. So they put the wrong name underneath.
And he must have been like...
He was very cross. I would imagine he was a very cross professor when he found out that they'd done that. And this is... the other nice thing about this book is the binding. So you can see it's...
beautiful.
It's something that says George Allen Unwin.
Can I see it?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, sorry. The feeling,
and you can't recreate the paper. So the facsimile one, it's nice.
Yeah, the paper is different.
It's modern paper. You can't really go back to 1937 paper.
Yeah. It feels like I don't know, lighter but also softer. I don't know how to explain it, but
unfortunately it's not acid-free paper either. So it does go. This is why it's gone brown. There's acid in the paper. So there's not much you can do about that, but this one's only worth about £15,000, unlike that one, because it's a late one. And then we get the later printing. So this is the third printing of the Hobbit.
The third one.
The third one.
Okay.
So this one is from the war, but this one has a proper dust jacket. This has the whole dust jacket.
And the green, you can see the green part.
The green's still there. Yes, the green's still on there. And this one was done on war economy paper because it's during the war. So the paper, can you tell the paper's different?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the paper's quite different.
It's quite more similar to what we have now.
Yes. So basically, these go all the way up to 1975. So that's the first printing up to the 24th printing. This is the American first printing. So this one came out in 1938.
I've never seen this one before.
And it's a bit different.
It's in red.
It's in red, yes. Yeah. And this is a library copy. So it's still got the original library
nice
marks in it. So a lot of these are library. And again, but Tolkien didn't like this.
He didn't like this edition.
No, he hated the changing the. Well, he spent a long time doing this lovely cover, and the Americans thought that it was too British. So they didn't like. So they put this in instead, And they still use some of his pictures. Obviously, that's his picture, and that is his picture.
Nice. And the one in the red part.
Yeah, you can see the back. The back is red as well.
Oh, okay.
This picture, this is only in the American edition to begin with, which is Bilbo woke up with the early sun in his eyes.
Is it Tolkien's
It's
illustration?
Tolkien's picture. So this isn't in the British one for a long time, and they didn't like Bilbo comes to the hut of the Rodwell, so that's not in here. They thought that was too British as well.
Too British.
What I really find strange is this. Now, you probably recognise that picture.
Yeah.
But can you see anything wrong with it? 2-8.
Yeah, 2-8.
See what's different now?
Here.
They took it off. They painted over it.
Why?
Too British.
Aqui é diferente, ó. A edição americana não tem isso daqui. E a edição britânica tem essa. Because it's too British.
It's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
They made the picture bigger as well, so the pictures were, so they enlarged it. They didn't paint over the original, obviously, because we still got that. But they did that on the other pictures as well. They just got rid of Tolkien's writing.
Yeah.
That's the bow in Hobbit, and the Hobbit's got shoes. And again, Tolkien said that it was a mistake in the book. Bilbo was meant to have shoes, but he forgot. He was meant to, he then wrote in a letter that when he went to Rivendell, Elrond gave him some boots to wear. But he then forgot. When he was obviously doing this picture, he thought that was still going to be in the book.
Tolkien very often forgot his own writing, and then he got back and sometimes he would explain it like, oh no, it's because of that, and then try to explain in the lore, but then again he would only admit it,
This one is one of the rarer Hobbits.
I had never seen it before.
These are very, very rare. If anybody ever thought that, we think there's probably only about 50 copies of these.
50?
50 is in existence. And we know about 35, I think, at the moment. These are very, very rare.
Who is the
Hobbits.
illustrator?
We don't know. Someone at one point said it was Tolkien, but of course that's not Tolkien. And these came out in the 1960s, and these were for primary schools. They were for very young children.
And there are no illustrations inside.
No illustrations, nothing. No. This illustrator is an illustrator called Michael Haig, who a lot of people don't really know about so much these days. But he was a very popular illustrator, and he smells great. The whole thing is very nicely illustrated. It's a very good book, and this one is the one that I recommend for anyone who wants to reach their children, because the illustrations are fantastic inside it, and there's lots of different illustrations. This is the one ready for reading to children. It is called Hobbity. This is in Finnish. This is by an artist called Tove Jansson.
I told this story in Tolkien Talk about the Gollum picture.
And the Gollum picture's in here.
And I quite like her art, but different. Yes, this one. I find it amusing. I can imagine Tolkien's reaction to it.
Now, he didn't really complain about this one too much. What he did complain about was the first printing of The Hobbit that wasn't in English. And that was the Swedish edition of The Hobbit. That's a Bulgarian one. That one's wonderful. I just love the cover. I bought that for the cover.
Uma edição búlgara.
Look at Gollum on the back. His boat.
Ah, Gollum.
But I just love Bilbo on his horse.
No, it's really...
Because he didn't really look like that in the book at all.
Definitely not.
But that's the Bulgarian edition.
Can you read Bulgarian?
No. I just like the illustration. This one I wanted it for the cover.
Yeah.
But this is the first translation of The Hobbit called Hompen. And there's Bilbo. And Tolkien hated this translation. He went absolutely mad. And what he didn't like was Gollum. So that's Gollum.
Oh, that... It
So I
looks
think
like
Tony
a
Jansen's one
Dementor.
is actually quite not is better than this. He complained and said, "Well, Gollum doesn't look anything like that." And then he thought, "Well, I'll go and have a look in the book and see what I've written about Gollum,
Yeah.
or how I've described him." And he hadn't described him at all. So in the book, there is nothing about Gollum. So Gollum could look like this.
Yeah.
So he went back and changed the book. So the 1966 version, which has been one of these, says that Gollum was a small, slimy creature, and he put that in to the book for the illustrator because he didn't like them looking like this. So it's neither of these two's fault
Yeah.
that Gollum looks like that. And another really nice edition is this one. I just love it. This is the Dutch edition. I just think it's great. That is, so that's Bilbo, and then there's the dwarves.
I loved it.
It's a fantastic edition.
Are there any illustrations? No.
Just that, but the cover in itself,
The Hobbit.
it's just a lovely cover.
How do you pronounce it?
D Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
D Hobbit. So that's a Dutch edition. And that will probably do for Hobbits, because I think in the evil day if we
Yeah.
go on to some of the other ones. Then we get on to the Lord of the Rings, which is what most of these books are Lord of the Rings, and then down here is the History of Middle Earth, and these are Folio Society. But some of these books, like this one here, these are the first printings of the Lord of the Rings.
The first printing.
The first printings, the UK ones. That one's from 1954, which is Fellowship of the Ring. They have lovely
Amazing.
maps in the back. They have big fold-out maps.
How old is this book?
1954.
90. Okay.
Yes. This one is a later box set. It's turned around the other way, but these ones are actually quite nice editions because these are what the covers originally looked like. You see those ones have faded a bit and gone around, but these ones have been out the light. So these are the original colours, and these are from the 1960s. But these are first editions as well. And it's really nice. I like the fact that you have things like red.
Yeah.
These are red ink on the top. This set is the first deluxe edition of the Lord of the Rings. This is 1963. It was in the box set. And what they did to make it deluxe was they just changed the colour to black and then charged 3 times as much as the ordinary. So this was the earlier one. This was 3 times as much, but these are black and they're not inside. They're the same, but they did also put ribbon markers inside.
Oh no, it's beautiful. It's like
It's still ribbon
yeah,
markers.
it's different.
And this box is lovely. This is a design by Pauline Baines. It's called a triptych, and it's basically 3 panels. And if you look at it, this one, that's the Shire, going up towards the Misty Mountains, and then you have the next bit of the story,
Nice.
and then you've got go all the way to Mount Doom. And she drew this. Tolkien liked this picture, and he bought it off of her, and he originally put it in his wall. So he was very impressed.
So this comes in a box.
Yeah,
or
and then I made another box. for
you
it.
made it.
So you can see this box. You can actually see a
okay.
bit more easily. So that's
Yeah.
what the box looks like.
And you printed yourself this
No,
one?
I got this from a dealer in America who makes one.
Nice.
But it's too fragile to actually have even in its own box. So in 1968, the first paperback edition of Lord of the Rings is this one, which is, if you notice, this is the same illustration as I just showed you on the cover. But she didn't. It's only the front and the back on this one. He didn't do they missed the side bit, so it's a bit of a shame really, because it is meant to be 3 illustrations, so the middle bit's missing. But this one was, if you were in the UK and you were a book dealer and you pre-ordered 100 copies of this book, you would get one with Tolkien's signature inside it.
Awesome.
From 1931 And this is a menu for an Oxford college that Tolkien, Pembroke College, which Tolkien was the professor at Pembroke College in 1931. And he was also, when he went home in the evenings, he was writing a book called The Hobbit. So I always think that he went to this and then he went home and wrote about The Hobbit when he got home. But if you look there, can you see someone's signature?
Yeah.
Let's do our Tolkien signature. And inside, this is what he had to eat. And you can see that they gave toasts. Which is where you say to the king. And one of the toasts was to the college.
Okay. And
that was given by Professor Tolkien. So he actually did toast. And here, this is what they had. So they had grapefruit cocktail. They had all this food.
When was it? Let me
1931.
see. Okay.
And if you look at the brown stuff there, that's some of the gravy, I think, from the meal. It's still there. That's what that is. Yeah, this is some of the food from the meal.
When did you get it?
This I got this in it's about 10 years ago, and if you look at the top of the you see there it says E.W. Morgan. He was the person who he was actually an American. So he was from California, and he was at Pembroke College. And he went and asked everyone who was at this meal to sign. Now, English people don't do this, so fortunately there was an American there, and he went and he got so inside is the names of everyone who was there. These ones are called Super Deluxe editions, and they're called Super because it's all leather. So these are, the whole thing is leather.
Can I open it?
You can, yes. Mine's not a signed one, unfortunately, but...
This is copy number 124.
Yeah, there was meant to be under 1,000, but they actually only really did about 150. Probably the nicest Super Deluxe is the Children of Hurin, which I don't know if you've ever done that one on your whether that's been on the channel, but this is probably the nicest of all of the see, it has a little thing to lift it out.
I think this might be my favourite for
today. It's a fantastic
The most
book.
beautiful.
It's the most beautiful, I'd say it is, yes.
Look at this. 37.
Yes, so 500. And it's signed by Christopher Tolkien and Alan Lee.
Capture that. And it smells good.
Yes.
Nice.
This was nice as well. This is also, it's a similar design to the one you just looked at.
I just love this design. It's so...
Well, it feels a bit different, that one. It's a different type of leather.
Yeah. I feel the light.
Sigurd and...
Gudrun. I'll show you something that is probably one of the highlights of my collection, which is this. We were keeping these secret until we had these, but certain people have actually already said they've got them, so I'm fairly happy now to announce these.
Collins here.
And 3 illustrators who illustrated it. So it's Alan Lee. You might have heard the illustrator. So Alan Lee, John Howe, and Ted Naismith.
Yeah.
And if you have a look inside, there's a map. But keep going.
Okay. I'm so afraid.
No, don't go too far. You can start at the beginning. 10
copies for
Tolkien Collector's Guide. And you can see who signed it.
Yeah.
John Howe, Ted Naismith and Alan Lee. But keep going. Next page. Wait to get to some blank pages.
Look at this.
That's Ted Naismith.
Am I allowed to be touching this
Yes,
page?
you
I
are.
mean, come on.
That's Ted Naismith. Keep going.
Oh my god. How did you manage to do that?
It was a massive undertaking. That's John Howe.
How long did it take for you to make all of them?
It was about 8 months of it going all around the world. It's been around the world about 10 times, this book.
How many countries did it attend?
Well, Alan Lee's in the UK, Ted Naismith is in Canada, and John Howe's in Switzerland.
Congratulations on that.
And this one,
This edition.
this is the first print in the summary in the UK one. And this one is signed by Christopher Tolkien.
Okay. How much is this one?
This is over £1,000, probably about nearly £2,000. Christopher's signature's gone up in price quite a lot because he did sign quite a lot compared with his father, but he's still not a massive. He didn't really do book signings. And this one was this is also signed by Christopher and Ted Naismith, but it's just got some lovely illustrations in it.
And follow me on my social media channels, You think that in the Lord of the Rings, it's an impressive collection, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. And I want to ask you something. If you could choose only one edition from Trotter's collection, which one would it be? Leave your comment here for us. And please give this video a like and subscribe to our 3 YouTube channels, Tolkien Talk, Tolkien Guide and That's it. See you next time. Bye!